Hi, it's Jen, and today I'm going to talk about some things that you should consider if you are a person who is coming to the US to study as a transfer student. So I'll share some background about me to get started. So I am an international student who came to the US, and I came here during the third year. So I believe most of us who came to the US as a transfer student, most of us had the first 2 years in our home country and the last 2 years in the US. And it is a great opportunity or great choice to do it because it gives us the opportunity to study in the US but not spend as much money as studying the whole 4 years in the US. So I believe that's the main reason most of us choose to do that. But I'm making this video because I feel like there are quite a few disadvantages of doing that. So that's why today I'm making this video to talk about those things that you should think about when making the decision of coming to US, like halfway through your 2 years in your domestic country and coming here. So let's get started. And also a disclaimer, this video is not meant to discourage you from doing so, but I just feel like I wish I have known some of these things before coming here, so that I have prepared myself more during my first and second year in my home country, Malaysia, before coming here. So I can divide this into a few parts, and the first part that I'm gonna talk about is the academic part. So I am an actuarial science student, so I can talk in more detail about my study, about my major. So I feel like coming here as a third year is quite disadvantageous for me, because when I came here, I was taking the same class as my first year domestic student, and because I was unable to take major related classes in Malaysia, because back in my local college they only offer elective classes and like the foundation classes, for example English, or like ethics, philosophy classes and stuff like that. So it's not related to the major that I wanted to study. And I think regardless of what your major is, whether that's STEM related or maybe more specific majors, what's gonna happen with a transfer program is that when you are doing your first 2 years in your college, in your local college or whatever it is, you'll be mostly taking classes that are not related to your major. So it's not like if you are a first year who comes straight into, if you enter into the university straight away, then you get exposed immediately to your major. But as a third year coming in, we were only exposed to that later. So it gives us that disadvantage, and I can feel that as I do my job search, because for example, in actuarial science, the most important thing is taking actuarial exams. But because I was not exposed to actuarial science material in my first and second year in my local college, I could only take my first actuarial exam in the third year. but most US students, they already took their first exam in their first year. So you can see how there's like an inequality, or like there's like it makes us slightly behind the US domestic students. So yeah, that's some things to consider, and I'm just giving an actuarial science related example. You could also think of it in like other major areas. For example, I don't know, maybe a computer science class, first year students, US students, they get to take their first computer science class in US, but as a transfer student, we might get to take it a bit later because in local colleges, they don't offer the classes that's related to your major. So yeah, that's my first point, and I think that's something, although I think most of us knew when we were in Malaysia, but when we come to the US, and I don't know, I feel like I saw the impact of that when looking for jobs. So I think that's quite important, an important factor to consider when you are choosing to do a transfer program. And it's not like you shouldn't completely just ignore, you shouldn't completely take what I say and just instead of doing a transfer program, come here and do the first year. Why I'm telling you is that now that you know this, that it gives you a slight disadvantage compared to the US students, what you should do is maybe learn more about your major and like try to gain more experience that's relevant and shows that you stand out among other candidates in your job search, even during your first year and second year in your local college. So yeah, I think that's something that's very important. And related to that, one thing I also found is that a lot of the local experience, like the first and second year experiences, work experiences you had, job experiences you had in your home country, won't matter as much when you are looking for a job. Sure, it will be included in your resume, but what American employers want to see is they want to know if you can fit in well with the American culture in the American workplace. So a local company in your home country won't show that. So if you are doing your first and second year in your local college and you want to stand out, I would suggest you to try to find multinational companies to intern in, that so that the employers know what company you are working at. For example, E&Y and the Big Four, and those will probably have a bigger impact than working at a random local company that no one knows of. Yeah. And then another aspect that I could talk about is the culture side of things. So there is definitely a difference between people who came in first year and people who came in during the third year, because even the orientation, I don't know for other universities, but for my university, it's separated between international students and domestic students. There's like a separate orientation just for international students. And then because if you are a first year student who came into the US, you are required, at least in my state, in my university, you are required to live in the dorms. And living in the dorms expose you to the domestic students more. And I feel like you get to know more about the culture compared to someone who came in. A lot of us who came in as a third year, and from the circle of friends I know, we all just live off campus and we live in our circle of friends. So it's not we don't get as much involved with domestic students unless you are really outgoing and you really put in the effort to get to know more American friends. Yeah, so that's also something to keep in mind, because the longer you stay in the US, and of course you have to put some effort into getting to know people and their culture, but the longer you get to stay here, the generally you feel more, you get to, yeah, like you spend more time, of course you get to know the country better. So yeah, that's another thing to consider. But I think the main thing I wanted to highlight in this video is, again, the job career aspect of things. So I think most of us who came to the US, our main goal is to graduate and to find a job in the US. And that's not easy as an international student. But I feel like if you are a person who came in as a first year, it will give you a slight advantage for those of us who came in as a transfer student. Because like what I said, you are playing a level field with the US students, and unlike transfer students who usually have internships, first and second year internships in their local home countries, those experiences are usually ignored or like taken into very little account by the US employers. So if you are someone who came in like first and second year, you can start to already network with all the US employers in your career fair. You can get to network early and get to know more opportunities in the US. So that's a very huge advantage compared to us who came in the third year, because we only have 2 years to find our summer internship. And it's hard to land an internship when you don't have any networking and you don't have any relevant job experience. But if you are someone who was already there for the first year, maybe you could get involved in some clubs and events in your university, and then second year you have those leadership experiences and you already have networking in your first year career fair, and you can start get an internship in the second year, and then third year land another internship again, and then you are all set for your full-time job. But for transfer student, it's just harder when your leadership experiences are in your home country, and then when other US students already have leadership experience in their first and second year, which looks better on their resume, of course the employers are gonna choose the US students. So it's like you have to be, if you are coming here as a transfer student, you have to be extremely outstanding to be able to get employees' attention, and you also have to have very good communication skills, which I know like most of us international students have a hard time working on, because usually English is not our first language at all. So I think that's why I'm making this video, because it has been really hard trying to find a job, and I really hope that whoever watches this video really think about how can they try to improve their chances in their first and second year back in your home country, so that when you come here to the US to study, when you come here, it won't be as difficult. Because I know a lot of friends who struggle to get a job because of our lack of experience and our communication skills that aren't as good as domestic students. So yeah, I know this is a very it might sound a bit ranty, but I wanted to share this because I wish I had known this before I came here to study. I don't know how well received this video is gonna be, but if you're watching this video and you have any questions about coming to the US to study, or you want me to make another video about anything that's related to studying in the US as an international student, or anything related to actuarial science, please let me know in the comments, and I will try to make a video about it. So yeah, thank you and have a good day. Bye.